What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. For those who are new, my name is Ace, and on this channel we cover a wide range of photo and video topics. So if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In this video in particular, we are going to go over backlighting, shooting in sunset and sunrise settings. I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what backlighting is and some tips to make sure that you can grab some really awesome shots using this technique, or this lighting rather. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first things first, what is backlighting? Backlighting is essentially when your main source of light is going to be behind your subject. So essentially they are backlit. The light is coming from behind them. Here's some examples just to kind of give you an idea. Now, these types of photos using this lighting is very, very popular, and for good reason. It gives you some beautiful results. This is typically when I love to shoot. I love to have my subjects backlit. You get a really nice glow to them, and just overall the light is so much nicer, a little bit softer, and it just falls around your subject beautifully. Now, when the light is actually this low, and as I call this angular, where since it's because the sun is so low, if you're using natural light, you're getting this really sharp angle on the subject that you're shooting from your light source, which, like I said, in this case is the sun. So it's something that I love doing. I love getting that nice warm glow from it, and in this video I'm going to actually show you how to maximize and utilize that type of light to get the best photos possible. Now, naturally, when the sun is so low, and especially if your subject is backlit, that means that your camera is going to be facing almost directly into the sun. This could give you some really cool images, or conversely not so great images, simply because you could get some really ugly flares coming into your lens from the sun. Now, there's a couple of ways to combat this. One of them is to make sure that the sun is not going directly in your lens. This could be a number of ways. So for example, you can have your subject, say, under a tree, so the light will still pass through, but it won't be as harsh as if you were just in an open field and that sun had nothing blocking it and just go right into your lens. Another way to combat this is to use something like a lens hood, which will allow you to block out some of those flares as well. Now, another thing too is to basically shoot your images without the sun even in the frame at all. So you could just easily switch up your angle to make sure that the sun is right out of frame, so it doesn't go directly into your lens, causing all kinds of flares. I've had some issues where sometimes the flares are not appealing at all, or basically you'll get a flare in a weird part of the image that may be not appealing either, like maybe it'll be covering part of the face or something like that. This is a great way to combat that. You can simply even just have your model turn maybe like 20, 25, 30 degrees, and you a long turn with them just to get a different angle and to make sure that you're not getting any weird flares. Shooting portraits in this kind of lighting could be quite difficult, simply because you're having to expose your subject to a very bright background, which sometimes can cause your background to be blown out, or as we call, overexposed. There's a couple of different ways you can combat this, but one of the most popular ones is to use a reflector to bounce that light that is coming from behind your subject onto that reflector and then back in the front of your subject, helping to balance out the exposure so you can get a balanced exposure for the image. Now, you may be saying, well, I don't have either a reflector or somebody to hold that reflector. Not to worry, generally I don't have that either when I go out and shoot. However, to get more balanced exposed images, what I will do is I'll shoot a stop or two underexposed, simply because I know that my camera has really good dynamic range, and later on in post I can actually balance out the exposure between my subject and the background, so I'm not losing any detail any which way, whether it is a part of the image that's overexposed or conversely underexposed. So try that out. Like I say in a lot of the videos we do, it's imperative that you go out and shoot in all kinds of conditions with your camera so you know how far you can push it to still get exactly what you need. Now with that said, a lot of modern day cameras do have some really good dynamic range, so generally you would still be very safe shooting a stop or two underexposed in a situation like this, or even vice versa. Some cameras retain a lot of detail in the highlights better than the lowlights, so like I said, it's something that you should just go out and try with your camera, see what works really well, and go from there. Let's say you want to go out and shoot some sunrise or sunset photos. This is a completely different animal because you won't really be able to use a reflector to illuminate such a large area in your foreground to compensate for the exposure coming from your background. There are a couple of ways to basically make sure that you can properly expose your image. One of them is using a graduated filter, and essentially what that is basically putting on sunglasses on top of your lens, but only on the top portion of the lens, and then it slowly fades as it comes further down your frame. And what this does is it basically allows the top part, which is usually the sky and the brightest part of your image, to be brought down a few stops in exposure to balance out this exposure between your foreground and your background. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, here are a couple of photos to give you a visual representation. Now, another way to also do this, which is the more common way among landscape photographers, is to bracket your photos. This is usually done in 3 brackets, and what it does is basically take one photo underexposed, one photo properly exposed, and another photo overexposed. Now, at the end of the day, what this allows you to do is combine all those images, basically create a sandwich of them, and it allows you to really pull out a ton of detail in your image simply because you're grabbing a lot of detail in the low light part where you got it underexposed, and then you are basically overlaying the image that was properly exposed, and then the same with the overexposed image. So between those 3, you are essentially covering the entire spectrum, pulling out all the detail possible and being able to keep the entire frame of that image properly exposed despite having some crazy differences in exposure from your foreground to your background. And guys, that is going to wrap up this tutorial here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up. It really does help our channel continue to grow and help push our videos out on the YouTube platform. If you did enjoy this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Guys, we do have fresh content coming out for you every single week. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.